answer to your Geo challenge. We asked, what did doctors prescribe when England's King Charles II suffered a stroke? Human skull, essence of brain, or warm blood? The answer is A, human skull. Charles II was administered 24 drops of spirits of human skull. Charles died soon after. Now back to Geo Files.
Young men like me were not allowed to eat. We had to be strong to fight and shoot people, so we had to avoid eating people.
From the 1940s onwards, outsiders began to impose foreign law and administration on the foray, in a period of rapid change. Missionaries brought a new religion, and many of the foray were converted to Christianity.
Thank you, Father God, for giving me a skin of God with blood. Faith can go what I mean. Faith can go what I mean. Time I mean to listen to whatever.
Although many of the foray now worship at the new churches, older beliefs continue to coexist with the new. Many foray, even today, still believe in sorcery, which they define as ill-intentioned people causing illness, misfortune and death through magical means. Cannibalism, condemned by church and state, was abandoned as quickly as it had been taken up. The last known cannibal feast took place in the late 1950s, but by then, for the women and children who had been eating at the funeral feasts, it was already too late. For by this time, the foray had been struck by a disease unlike anything they'd seen before. During the early 60s, Honora saw his family members succumb one by one.
Kuru is a kind of sickness that comes up in the body. It causes the person to shake, and they then become unstable when walking about, and they fall down. It's a kind of sickness where the body shakes. It begins slowly so the person can go to the gardens and keep gardening. In the beginning, their hearing and body is all right. Then the shaking of the body begins and continues, and they have to give up gardening, return to the house where they stay for another 3 or 4 months. Then they lie down completely. Then they can't stand up. Then they lie in bed, and people come and carry them out and put them in the sun. Then they are taken back inside the house, where they die.
Without exception, the disease was fatal. By the late 1950s, it would have been hard to find a village unaffected by Kuru. The first outside witnesses noticed the smiling grimace that many of the victims wore. They called it the laughing death. The foray named the disease after their word for shivering. They called it Kuru. By the time of Shirley Lindenbaum's arrival in the early 1960s, the foray were in crisis.
Kuru had an extraordinarily high incidence in this area at the time. It was mainly women, young girls and women in their childbearing years who were victims of the disease. It was an extremely emotional period. In every village you would find 2 or 3 women who were prostrate or staggering around in various phases of the disease, and it was the main topic of conversation.
The Foray were bewildered. They blamed Kuru on sorcery. So at first did the Western doctors who saw it. They thought it was an hysterical reaction to local fear of sorcerers. That view soon gave way to the realization that this was a new disease, an incurable killer with an unknown cause. Autopsies of the victims revealed little. They showed brain damage, but no visible agent. Pathologists had seen this pattern only once before, in victims of an exceedingly rare disorder called Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, or CJD. But since the cause of Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease was unknown, the comparison did not offer much help. It was increasingly clear that it was in the epidemiology or distribution pattern of Kuru that the only hope of explanation would lie.
Up next,
Medical researchers analyzed Shirley Lindenbaum's detailed fieldwork data. Changes in the pattern of the disease were noted by Dr. Michael Alpers.
When we looked at the change, even over this relatively short period, there'd been a dropout of young cases in the latter period. And it looked as if those who were born since 1959 were growing up free of the disease. So this gave us a clue that something dramatic had happened, which was altering the transmission of the disease. In the end, the one that really made most sense was the cessation of cannibalism.
Shirley Lindenbaum's careful work on Foray family histories had further revealed how feasting patterns fitted with the transmission of Kuru.
You can follow the sequential life histories of those people and see if it was a person who died of Kuru and people ate the body. You can see how many years later the participants in that particular cannibal meal come down with Kuru, and you can also meet some elderly people here who were present that day but who were busy preparing the vegetables, or who were little boys who were maybe a little bit more withdrawn from eating with their mothers, eating cannibal flesh, and they're still alive today, whereas everybody who was named in that early story may have pretty much come down with Kuru.
Because of their conviction that Kuru was caused by sorcery, the Foray had failed, fatally, to apply their usual rule of not eating those who died from disease.